Fizz is clearly one of the faces of hell, but his success shows how easily guys like him can be exploited. Throughout the show, Fizz has been shown to be a staple throughout the economy of hell, with his likability being so high that he has multiple rings utilizing his likeness for monetary gain. We see Fizz's lack of agency be shown within the relationships he has made in his life outside of the main cast. This is the first time that we see Fizz interact with others that are not Blitz or Oz, and it starts off with a bit of a backstory.
We got them all based on my new face, Fizzy! That's me! Oh, yours now!
So this is where we see younger versions of our two main antagonists within this episode, Mammon and an obsessive stalker named Burnie Burns. The two characters are two sides of the same coin, as they are after someone that has the ability to make them money. What separates the two is where they are at when we talk about class dynamics. Mammon is already a part of the 1%, as he is one of the 7 deadly sins in greed and is already an extremely popular figure. However, at this stage, he doesn't want to entertain the lower class anymore and would rather groom other performers to reach his status and take a majority of that revenue to make him richer. It's a thing that happens to a lot of people within the entertainment industry. There are times where executives or celebrities that start their own companies within their respective field try to take advantage of those who are starstruck and want to be a part of that industry. Fizz fit that description to perfection in the eyes of Mammon. Fizz was already the most popular within Cash Buxo's circus, so he already has somewhat of a name for himself locally. So in knowing the fact that Fizz sees Mammon as an idol, that's easy pickings for someone who wants a star-studded performer to be obedient. Mammon is more so like a trap that you can easily find yourself in. Someone who promises you everything as long as you continue to prove to him that you are the best and worth his time instead of being able to see your self-worth as enough. So what does Mammon have in common with a creepy stalker like Burnie? It's simple. It's the predatory mindset that is extremely similar. As I stated, the only difference is that Burnie does not have the status and power that could be used to show dominance over Fizz. See, when someone doesn't have the same likability as a Fizz or a Mammon, they would turn to a more aggressive route in order for their target to be obedient. Burnie seems like the type that doesn't have a good amount of social skills acquired to him, so he views those he admires from a distance and tries to come off as aggressively passionate about their work and proceeds to push his idea onto Fizz to be a romantic duo. It's clear how much Burnie wants to leech off of Fizz's success to the point where he would want to force himself upon Fizz. Fizz is lucky that Blitz was in that situation to protect him, because there was no telling what could have happened if Fizz was alone with this creep, especially when Burnie shows his true colors when Fizz rejects his offer.
Fine! Fuck you! You think you're better than me, you elitist prick? Your act's fucking trash anyway!
Now mind you, this is another tactic that is used to further drive into a victim's head, making the individual seem to be traitorous towards those that look up to them, and stacking a ton of guilt on top to make guys like Burnie live rent-free in Fizz's head. Burnie has a hold of Fizz, but only in the mental aspect, while Mammon has both.
Mammon is gonna notice that. Ozzy! Where did my foundation go?
Here we see how much this manipulation has put an immense amount of stress on Fizz. He seems a lot more frantic on trying to look like the best version Mammon wants in the face of his franchise. You see this a lot in people who feel they are under control of someone as powerful as Mammon. Even though he is essentially on the same level as his boss, some may argue, it feels incredibly one-sided due to Mammon's manipulative behavior towards Fizzy. Oz definitely sees right through this whole ordeal as we get more of the exposition between the two's conversation about the pageant and Mammon as a whole. With Fizz already a 10-time champion of this pageant, there really isn't much else to prove when it comes to his status. His popularity is through the roof, and can easily retire and be well off considering not only his marketability has him set for life, but also being in a relationship with Oz makes him the most financially stable imp in all of Hell. However, Fizz feels that everything he was able to achieve was only because of the exposure he got from Mammon. That mindset is easy for anyone who is like Mammon. Making it seem like an individual with fragile agency feels like they are nothing without their boss. Even with Oz trying to talk him out of participating, it doesn't allow Fizz to admit about what sort of relationship he has with his boss. So Oz had to figure out something else.
Is this Fizz's former bestie, then lifelong enemy, then recent hero, now newly rekindled sort of friend, Blitz?
Oh, that is a weird way to put it, but yeah, that's me.
With the rekindled relationship with Fizz, Oz decides to bring in Blitz to hopefully accept the reality of his situation, with Blitz being a childhood friend of Fizz, and are finally rebuilding what they have lost since the birthday bomb incident. I think the big reason for this decision is that Fizz doesn't have a lot of close friends that he can trust to tell Fizz how it is, especially since Fizz's status among the imp population is up to the same level as a Farasika when it comes to popularity and fame, so very few imps can understand what Fizz is going through. Majority of the imps he has met that aren't close have mainly wanted to use him as a ploy to acquire monetary value in every episode he was featured in. So I believe the amount of imps he does trust are not many, if at all. So Oz really does not have a lot of options to use in this instance outside of Blitz. It also helps that Blitz is a self-trained assassin that has a bit of experience in being a bodyguard to higher class individuals. So Oz gets the best of both worlds, and Blitz being a reliant friend to aid Oz's wishes for his significant other, and a person that can fend off the creeps that are complete horn dogs for him.
But as always, I have an act that's without a doubt gonna fucking lose.
So I think I want to take this time to get most of the music out of the way in this section. After all, this is a musical episode, and it is used to help bring the episode along at an entertaining pace. Though I do have a small complaint when we get into the musical side of things, which is that there really isn't a lot of time to settle in and really get a chance to feel what each of the characters are going through in that moment. Don't get me wrong, a lot of these songs are definitely bangers you'd want to listen to when you're vibing on the couch or something. However, it doesn't really move me into feeling more of those that are singing these tracks. As someone with a bachelor's in theater, the tracks should have a strong level of emotion within them, and the character and overall story should be the drive that levels up the songs we hear. While I think the songs like Mammon's Pageant track and the Bad Bitch track from the Glam Sisters are nice to listen to, I just don't think they do enough outside of moving the episode along.
Fucking trash. Always has been. Except now, I have to see your smug face plastered on everything, everywhere.
Now we're seeing the different types of manipulative tactics being shown to Fizz all at once. Starting with the return of Burnie, we see more of his aggressive approach of being the #1 hater of Fizz since he rejected him. Going through the desires Burnie has had for Fizz as he berates him truly gives off the type of predator Burnie is. Witnessing the depiction of Fizz being cuffed up and loyal to Burnie proves how he sees Fizz as nothing but a tool. He still pushes that narrative of needing others to protect him from those he doesn't want to associate with as a weakness. For those that can't handle being pushed in a narrative that is overwhelmingly negative, it puts their own insecurities at the forefront and it pushes them in an anxious state. That was portrayed wonderfully when Fizz was being confronted by Burnie, with him cowering back and breathing heavily with various indications of having a panic attack, even when Blitz was there to protect him. It doesn't help matters when Mammon came in after the incident and showed signs of disapproval of Fizz's feelings to the whole experience, as he wanted him to keep a positive facade throughout the competition. The combination of these two interactions, including the fabulous performance from Glitz and Glam, puts Fizz over the edge and made him struggle to keep himself together.
It's okay. You're fine. You need to be fine.
Fizz, are you okay?
So at Fizz's lowest state, Oz finally has that real heart-to-heart with Fizz and his decision to sticking with someone like Mammon. The imp isn't wrong in his thought process. While Mammon is a sleazy individual, he did play a role in giving him the exposure to the entirety of Hell and be open to a lot of the brand deals. A great job being the face of Ozzy's, as well as being united with Oz as a couple. However, Oz finally was able to reach him and promised to always be committed, even if he does split from Mammon. It's a much needed scene here because this shows the amount of commitment Oz was willing to have for Fizz even at his lowest point. He was never upset. He showed the necessary patience to Fizz and expressed that he will be there through thick and thin. The scene alone pretty much puts these two as the OTP as a series for me. Sorry, Eminem. That moment really helped the song that came after their heart-to-heart, and it gave that proper emotion the other songs lacked to really have that lasting impact. It's not the prettiest, it's not the flashiest, but what it did have was the most lasting, and that's what matters the most in musicals.
Because if you let him quit, I could tell everyone here that... What? That I love him? Well, I do.
You know, I think I should say this now. Helluva Boss should just be about Fizz and Oz at this point. This episode really shows how strong the two are as the standalone focus within the episode. I think the entire dynamic of your average imp dating someone of the higher class within the society of Hell works way better with the Fizzmodius pairing, even more so than the Stolitz pairing in my eyes. Seeing the amount of pressure Fizz continues to build on himself and how he doubts if he's really worth being by Oz's side, and Oz willing to risk his own reputation, was set up wonderfully here as the two show their loyalty to each other. In the two previous episodes, we see so much more development that you kind of forget that Blitz and his crew are supposed to be the main focus of the series, which in the long term is probably a really bad thing. But hey, look at the positives! I really like the way they were able to flesh out Fizz, especially when he finally gives the middle finger to Mammon, once he feels that sense of relief of Oz sticking with him no matter what. Not to mention Oz expressing that commitment by confirming that his relationship with Fizz is as close as what the public has perceived, making me intrigued in what's to come and building this tension and the repercussions in the future. I know I have been tricked by this many times by now, but come on, I just think they're them. Please don't ruin this for me. Please, I'm begging you. Holy shit, please.